you are drawn sometimes into financial trouble because your values doesn't align with your expenses.
So welcome to the National Launching of Queentuhan Year 4, brought to you by JCI Company Davao. I am Bifa Bonifacio. I am your host for this empowering journey for this afternoon. Today marks the beginning of our incredible project where we celebrate the voices, stories, and triumphs of extraordinary women across our nation. So, Queentuhan po is not just a podcast, but it's a platform for women empowerment and inspiration. So we aim to uplift and amplify the voices of queens from all walks of life. So it's time to bring into the spotlight of our women-powered stories and take up space as empowered women empowering other women. Today's episode is Empowering Women Through Personal Finance. So it's a journey to financial independence. So we will be talking about personal finance such as savings, retirement, debt repayment, improving your credit card scores, consumer loans, and basically a touch on business and whatnot. We have over 19 years of banking experience. She manages a diverse lending portfolio in the Philippines. Alongside her professional role, she actively volunteers in organizations focused on MFIs and women's financial inclusion. As a resource speaker for personal finance, she shares her expertise and advocates for financial and women empowerment. She holds an executive MBA from Kellogg Northwestern University, further enhancing her skills and knowledge in the field. She's currently the Senior Vice President and Region Head Account Management Group covering areas of Visayas and Mindanao in Asia United Bank. Let us all welcome Ms. Christina Pama, MBA.
Good morning, everyone. Personal finance is a journey for everyone, and it is a unique journey because it entails also the value of each person involved. So before we start anything, if you want, I want you to think about the 15 items or 15 values that really matters to you in your mind, and then drop it down to 10 values that you think is the most you value or prioritize. So I'll give you a moment for that. 15, then make it 10, and then on your own paper, on your own mind, you can have at least 5 that you really value. So think about it, because I want you to, your main takeaway of this short session is for you to be able to align your finances with your values. So I'll give you a moment for that. While you do that, let me walk you through what is personal finance. Personal finance is a journey of every individual based on your target, values, on what you will achieve short-term and long-term. So when you look at your paper, or as you reflect now on your top 5 values in life, does your expenses align to that? Because some studies have shown that on the top 5 that you have as your value, top value in life, most of your expenses doesn't fall there. It is an outliner, diba? Okay. Have you experienced that? Have you reflected on that right now? Okay. So, hold on that. Hold on the 5 values that you have. I want you to hold on that. And while I walk you through on this session, I want you to reflect deeply on your personal finance, because this topic is a personal journey. You don't compare with others. You have to reflect internally about that. So, as we go through, usually the standard that we are told about in school on your finances, or usually you learn about this after work na, diba? So, it's not naman discussed talaga in school. So, in our country, we learn it while we experience it. Or when you have an experience, guidance from your parents, right? So, the standard is 50% is your living expenses, and then the 30% you go for your savings, investment, and then the 20% is for your miscellaneous expense. But for young ones, this is too high for them to achieve. So what we really set and encourage them is to do the 80-20. That's the Pareto principle. So the 80% is your living expenses. The 20% is where you're gonna go savings and retirement or for your travel. That one, it's a bit achievable. And don't forget your charity, because when you give to the community, it will also come back to you. That's something that what we call doing good or paying it forward. Okay. So going back to your list, that values that you have, the 5 values that I told you to hold on, most of your expenses, rank it. You don't need to share it. Make it your own so you can reflect it at night, because I want you to have this as a takeaway. So, when you have that 5 values that you have, I want you to rank it. How much are you spending from it? Or most of your expenses goes through the top 15. So now, what am I driving into? You are drawn sometimes into financial trouble because your values doesn't align with your expenses. Okay? For example, in my case, just to share it with you, when I was young, I didn't know about this. And then I realized, why is it that I'm so struggling and I don't know how to reach this target that I want? So, I did that hack to list the most important thing in my life. And my expenses and my energy should align on that. So, it has helped me a lot to propel in my financial situation. So, now, if you were able to have those lists and you see the problem already, because, I always have this problem, pagdating ng salary ko, I cannot even pay for my bills in my credit card. So that's a realization. I'm not saying that it's wrong. No. You have to experience that journey, because if you cannot experience that, how will you learn? So now you already know that the 5 values that you have. For example, in my case, I value God first, health, family, career, and then my charity and my community. So then my expenses will go through that 5 values. So going back to your list, just make sure that you have it in mind. You don't need to list it. I want you to focus on that, because this is where people doesn't realize that their expense is not actually aligned with their values. Kaya, you don't understand why I am so drawn in debt and I cannot even pay. Right? And that's affect your credit scoring with the bank. So, how do we rate scoring? This is just simple. Example is the credit card. Sino may credit card? Lahat ba? Okay. Alam nyo ba na yung sa credit card niyo, there's a statement cut-off. So, for example, your statement cut-off is February 14. So, you make sure your expenses, if you want to maximize the entire cycle of 45 days, you use your card February 14 onwards. Okay? And then, make sure you don't miss the payment. Because if you miss the due date payment, that would lower your credit scoring. And then, another point, you should not max it out. Maxing it out is not good indicator. And there should be a pay down. Okay. So, you prioritize that one if you want to have good credit scoring with the bank, especially for the young ones. You can swipe, no problem. That's good because you have points. That's very, for me, very productive in terms of your money because you can have points, you can travel, use your points, but don't forget that you have due dates to pay. So if you cannot make it full payment, you do partial payment and make sure it's on time. On time, that's the key. On time, statement, cut off, and due date. That's the key there. Now, when you want to purchase a house, how do you want to get it approved? Usually, there is an income bracket to that. So, you have to make sure that when you have a business, it should be registered. So, you have an ITR. No ITR, it's very difficult for you to have a loan. Meaning, if you're a businessman, small business, whatever endeavor you are, you have to register it so that your income will be recorded. Then you can use that as a source of repayment and validation of the bank. So, it's easy to get those application approved if your documents are in order. So, what I mean about documents in order, you have bank relationship, you have business permits, you have ITR that declared what is your income so that they can compute for your credit ratio. Then you will get your approval rate. Okay? So, as you journey into your finances, there are hiccups that you would expect from it because it's not naman perfect for everyone, and that is understandable. But you have to learn that when you have those breakdown from your finances, the only way to be able to recover from that is to find solutions. So now if you have problem on your finances, you can face it naman and you don't need to run away from that. Because the moment that you will not settle your obligation with the bank, that would affect your credit score. And probability that you will be blocked to the financial institution. So it's good to maintain your credit status. And that's the very first thing that you have to protect when it comes to your personal finance. Your credit scoring, your banking relationship, and most of all is that as you journey through this, you should have your budget. Meaning, you budget your expenses and the things that you wanna pay for short term and long term. So you should have a long term. What do you mean by long term, Ina? So long term usually it's 5 years and up planning. Short term it's like 1 year. Mid is 3 to 5 years. So you can categorize your plan with your finances and then you can move forward from that. So usually in your personal journey, you need to strategize it properly. So you pay yourself first and pay it forward. Because if you don't pay yourself first, what will you invest? Right? And then, second, make sure you pay your obligation on time. And the third is to invest for long term. So that's the usual principle that we have. But the challenges come along when we misalign with our personal goals in life. So that's where the challenges, the problem arise. People question why I cannot transcend from these stages of financial problem. because you have to look at it within yourself. From the 5 values that you hold on to, are your expenses, are your financial journey aligned with that? Because if it's aligned, then you can easily track your expenses, you can easily find a solution of your problem. So that's how I'm gonna share it with you, and I hope you were able to take some value on it. So if you have questions, just let me know.
Would you be able to redeem or recover from lowering your credit score? Or how long will it take for you to recover and getting a higher credit score?
Improve. Amen. Okay. So if you have a credit card, your case, if you have a credit card, then you pass due, then you did a restructuring, for example. Is that what you mean? Okay. Of course, if you do restructuring via collection, it would really impact your credit score. But one thing, if you were able to pay it, so when you pay it, there is a SOA that your client or the clearance that your bank will tell na fully settled. But the bank will look at it, usually after 3 to 5 years, you can reapply. So kasi, the bank has this, we have shared information kasi. So, we will know if you defaulted, even if it's with the other bank. But, you can always recover from it. It's not the end of the world. So, my advice is for you to settle it. Good faith. So, if the bank can see it naman, that you paid and then you settled it, you just give them the certificate of clearance, it's already fully paid, and then they can recalibrate it, and you can do reapply from it. Okay naman. The banks will consider, kasi we have this case na 10 years ago pa siya nagkaroon ng financial crisis, and then na-settle naman niya lahat. So, it shows good faith naman. So, the first thing that you should do is settle your obligation. Then you ask for clearance from the bank. And then once it's given, na the bank naman can do the CI. And then if it's clear, then they can proceed with their credit evaluation. And then you can reapply.
Fama, MBA, in appreciation for her exemplary contribution as a speaker during the launching of Queentuhan Year 4. Her words have ignited a movement encouraging Filipino women to be change makers and leaders in their industries. Given this 11th of February 2024 at the Acacia Hotel Davao, signed by our 2024 LO President Charina G. Barangay.